Kirk Cousins has been traded to the Atlanta Falcons. Russell Wilson just signed a deal with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Gardner Minshew even signed with the Raiders. And we have ghost seeing Sam Darnold signing with the Vikings. And now everyone is asking the same question. Where will Justin Fields be traded? We're going to get into all of that in today's video. But before we do that, make sure that you guys like, comment, and also subscribe to the channel. We're on the way to 2K. Help a brother out. Hit that like button. Also subscribe to the channel. And now with that, let's go ahead and get into today's video. So Justin Fields, where will he be going and when will he be traded? And so the way that the landscape looks right now for Justin Fields, he is going to have to sit back, relax, and wait until draft night. I predict that is when Justin Fields will be traded. I could be wrong about that, but the way that it is looking, I don't believe there is enough of a quarterback market out here right now to justify Justin Fields being traded, because of the fact that I feel the Chicago Bears are overvaluing what they should potentially get back for Justin Fields. And I just have that feeling they probably want a second round pick, when in actuality, Justin Fields is probably worth a 4th to 7th round pick. And it has nothing to do with the ability of Justin Fields. It's simply because of the fact that people know that you have to get rid of Justin Fields at this point, unless you believe that the Bears are going to somehow keep Justin Fields. I think it's as simple as this. Teams see Justin Fields as a guy who they could potentially use, a guy who has some upside, but has not necessarily proved anything in the league until this point. A guy who looks shaky in the beginning of seasons, but always ends that same season strong. And so Justin Fields has game. He can play, but at the same time, he is a guy who people are having a lot of uncertainty about. And the Bears are believed to be taking Caleb Williams with the first pick. So everyone knows that the Bears eventually will have to trade Justin Fields, which ultimately leads to his value going down. Just think about it. If you know somebody has to do something, you're going to be less willing to give that person exactly what they're asking for, because they are on the desperate end of the spectrum. The last thing that they want to do is to start the season with both Justin Fields and Caleb Williams on the same team, because I don't believe, and I'm going to continue this video with this perspective, I don't believe that the Chicago Bears are going to keep Justin Fields on the roster and trade the #1 pick. I don't believe that. So throughout this entirety of this video, I'm going to speak from that perspective. So the last thing that you want to do is bring in Caleb Williams and have Justin Fields on this team. There are going to be some locker room talks. There's going to be a lot of mental battles. There's going to be a lot of different things going on in that locker room. You want to make it as smooth as possible as you can for your young QB. We have seen time and time again the Chicago Bears fail to develop a quarterback correctly. And so now what do they need to do? They need to make sure they do everything they can in order to reset the quarterback carousel and start this out right. They just traded with the Chargers in order to get Keenan Allen there. And so the Bears have an opportunity to build this team up, get some more weapons, and make sure that Caleb Williams has the best experience there. And so with all that being said, what does this mean for Justin Fields? What teams could he potentially go to in order to resurrect his career? And I'm not saying it like his career is dead, but at this point, it's not looking so good for Justin Fields in terms of having a starting job. I'm pretty sure he can sign with anybody for a backup role, but at the end of the day, a young QB with some talent like Justin Fields doesn't necessarily want to go down that route. It almost is looking like he may have to take the Baker Mayfield route in order to get back into a starting role. But we're not going to talk about that in particular today. We're going to talk about where he could potentially go in order to have a starting job outright right now. So let's talk about my first pick. I believe that should be on the phone with Chicago Bears, and the Chicago Bears do not need to play hardball because they're in a bind right now. Justin Fields should go for a 4th through 7th round pick. I'm just saying, not necessarily 7, but I think a 4th rounder is pretty good. The same thing that they just gave up to go get Keenan Allen is what Justin Fields should go for. But the team that I have in mind for Justin Fields and where I want to see him go is the Minnesota Vikings. Why? Because it's very interesting. All the talk throughout the entire offseason was about Justin Fields potentially going to the Atlanta Falcons. And would it not be interesting to see the quarterback that everybody was talking about going to the Atlanta Falcons actually go to the Minnesota Vikings? Because the quarterback who used to play for the Minnesota Vikings is now playing with the Atlanta Falcons. So I think that would be an interesting storyline right there. There is already a number one wide receiver in place with Justin Jefferson, and you cannot get me to believe that Sam Darnold is the answer. And I don't necessarily believe that one bit. I think Sam Darnold is there to be some type of bridge quarterback, but who really wants to go through a bridge phase? You're basically saying that you're tanking the season, hoping that one of the quarterbacks in the draft next year is going to be better than the quarterback that you have here right now, which is Sam Darnold. So I don't believe that Viking fans will be happy with a season where you obviously are trying to tank. Now, Sam Darnold may have something left in the tank, but I think that ship has sailed. I think Sam Darnold is a decent answer in terms of a backup QB, but I don't see him being more than that. And I would love to be wrong as somebody who was rooting for Sam Darnold when he was with the Jets, because the Jets simply are kind of like the Browns. They do a horrible job when it comes to developing young talent, and I root for the young fellas. But until we see a change in the way that Sam Darnold plays, I can say honestly that right now he's definitely a backup QB. So it would be very interesting to see Justin Fields go over to the Vikings and do something there. It seems to me that the Vikings are also waiting to see which of the B-list quarterbacks, the JJ McCarthy's, the Michael Penix Jr.'s, those type quarterbacks, the Bo Nix of the world. I think teams are kind of waiting to see where those type of guys go, because you could potentially bring in a guy like that. Say the Raiders, for example, they have Gardner Minshew. They could bring in a guy like a Bo Nix. They could bring in a guy like a JJ McCarthy, something like that, and kind of let him look, listen, learn, maybe like a Russell Wilson and Matt Flynn type situation. You have a veteran quarterback there, but you bring in a young guy who has some upsides, but a lot of people aren't sure about. Like, Russell Wilson wasn't a sure thing, and some people still discredit Russ to this day, but in his prime, Russ had game and may potentially still have game. You know what I'm talking about? But at the end of the day, teams may be interested in doing something like that, because if that doesn't work, no harm, no foul, re-roll the dice and then draft a quarterback in the next season. But I think bringing in a guy like Justin Fields makes perfect sense, especially if it comes at the right price. Chicago, stop being stubborn. All right. And so that leads me directly into my next point. And I already said their name. The next team, I mean, in terms of where Justin Fields could potentially go, and that is the Raiders. Now, Gardner Minshew was a quarterback for my Indianapolis Colts. I think he did an okay job, but he did not exactly just light the world on fire, right? And so you're looking at a situation where I believe that Justin Fields can fit right into that system. You already have, once again, a number one wide receiver there in Davante Adams. You also have Jacoby Myers there. I like Jacoby Myers. You have a lot of different things that you can do. Have a young head coach, and then you add a young player at the QB position, a guy you can potentially grow with. Now, this one I believe almost makes the most sense if you take storyline out of it. I like the Vikings story a little bit better, but I almost like the fit with the Raiders a little bit better. And if things do not work out with Justin Fields, you have Gardner Minshew on the back end to keep you afloat until the next year, when you obviously would probably look to draft a QB. And so that almost makes more sense. But I like those two teams. There are other teams that you could potentially throw in there, like the Giants. You could also throw the Broncos in there if you would like to. But him going to Sean Payton, I don't know. That might be Russell Wilson 2.0. I don't know if Sean Payton like those type of quarterbacks. I don't know. I don't like the Broncos fit at all. I hope he don't go to the Broncos. Sean Payton actually needs like a veteran QB, but I don't think they're going to be able to do that. He probably will have to start from zero, but either way, I think those are spots that he could potentially land. Anybody else, though, I think is too high in the draft to actually be looking at Justin Fields right now. I think they are kind of set on some of the QBs that are coming up right now, because you will have a chance to look at them for more years than Justin Fields. After this year, Justin Fields is going to want to be paid, and I'm not saying top QB money, but he's going to want to be paid more than the rookies that are going to be coming up, right? And so those other teams won't make any sense. But let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. Where will Justin Fields go? Where is he going to land? I would love to know your thoughts and opinions on this. Don't forget to also like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.